My name's John. I work at a normal corporation. By the time I hit 28, most of my peers are looking to upskill, or, in their personal lives, they start thinking about getting married. It's not that I lack ambition, but I feel like if I can maintain a stable lifestyle by doing my job decently, that's good enough for me. What about marriage, you ask? Well, I don't have anyone in my life right now. Romance and love are just not in the cards for me. I may sound cheerful, but let's face it, I'm not what most would consider good-looking. With this appearance, who would approach me? But I guess to my parents, I might still look cute. Growing up, I was always told how adorable I was. So, I never really thought of myself as unattractive. But that changed in the 4th grade. That was the first time someone mocked me, saying, "You're so ugly." That day, I went home and asked my mom, "Am I ugly?" And my usually cheerful mom, her face went red with anger, who said that, about my precious, adorable son. I was shocked by how fiery she became. "You look just like your dad, and it makes you even cuter," she said, hugging me and patting my head. But as time went on, I started to realize that I might not be that handsome after all. I've been told I look like my dad. Growing up, neighbors and mom's friends would often say, "You look just like your dad." Back then, I was proud to resemble my strong dad, but I guess they didn't mean it in a good way. Now, my mom, she's incredibly beautiful. Long eyelashes, a perfectly straight nose, and she looks so young that sometimes people think she's my sister. My dad, on the other hand, a rugged kind of look. It's pretty obvious who I take after. It really hit me during my teenage years. Looking in the mirror, I'd noticed my eyes resembled my mom's, but overall, I looked just like my dad. That was also when I realized how low I ranked in terms of looks. But even in my teenage years, I had crushes. I once mustered the courage to confess my feelings to a girl named Nancy. But it hurt when she turned me down. "You're such a kind person, John, but I'm sorry." I was turned down. I later found out the reason she declined was indeed my looks. And soon after, Nancy started dating the most handsome guy in class. By that time, when I looked in the mirror, I could clearly see I'm definitely not like that guy. But you can't change your face. Sure, I've had my moments of self-consciousness, but if I don't focus on romance, it's no big deal. And here I am, already 28. I've pretty much given up on the idea of marriage. What about my dad, you say? Well, he just got extremely lucky. Not only did he get married, but he also won over a beauty like my mom. And if anyone's more smitten, it's my mom. My husband is the most handsome man in the US, no, in the whole world. I grew up hearing that all the time. And she still says it, with a kind of love that's almost unfathomable. I'd say he's head over heels for her, in a way that's downright baffling. It's nice that they get along well, but honestly, I doubt anyone would ever feel that way about me. Even though I'm not the best looking, I'm grateful for being cherished as much as I am. Such is my life as a working professional. Of course, I'm diligent in my duties, but sometimes the office buzz can be a bit much. "Hey John, got a moment?" she called, and I quickly rushed to her desk. "Sorry, can you sum this data up ASAP? I want to head to the client by early afternoon. Also, John, you'll be joining me. Thanks." Before I could even reply with understood, Michelle was off. Then from around, I heard, "Lucky you." What, aren't I the chosen one today? Damn, John's the one today. Jealous. Such envious voices centered on me. Today, by chance, Michelle called for me, but whoever gets called by her becomes the envy of the office. Just the sound of her calling someone's name, and all eyes are on her and that person. But it's mostly the male staff doing the looking. the female staff just give the men a cold look. Occasionally, there's a sigh from the women, seemingly bewildered by the scene. Reason being, Michelle is a striking beauty with a fine complexion, clear features, and a petite face. Be it in the office or downtown, I doubt any man can resist a second glance. She's friendly, highly skilled, and efficient. She's adored even by the female staff and is quite the office icon. "John, we may have an early lunch, but would you like to join me? We can head to the clients afterward," I responded, quickly packing the necessary documents into my bag. No way, lunch with the manager makes me jealous. Just being invited to lunch by Michelle, and everyone's gaze felt even more piercing. But I couldn't let it bother me. "Excuse me, I'll be back." Nodding to a senior I met eyes with, I quickly followed her. When you share tasks with Michelle, occasionally, you get to have lunch together. Everyone's waiting for their chance, and I'm well aware. Such was her popularity in the office. Of course, I respect Michelle and think she's pretty, but not anything beyond that. Because I doubt she'd ever see someone like me in a romantic way. But it's not all fun and games at work. One day, an issue arose at work. A problem that angered a client. Debate raged about who caused the issue, with senior staff passing the blame. As the argument heated up, somehow, I was made the scapegoat. Honestly, I was barely involved, and a senior was the one who messed up. With other tasks on my plate, squabbling over this seemed pointless. Being the junior in the team, I thought it best to just shoulder the blame. "It was my mistake, I'm sorry," I went to apologize to the section manager. "Oh, you again," he said, giving me a stern reprimand. Meanwhile, Michelle, who'd been out, seemed to have returned and overheard our conversation. "Excuse me, section manager, is this about the complaint from Company A?" I turned to see Michelle standing behind me. As the section manager confirmed, she nodded a few times, sighing deeply. "Section manager, you're reprimanding the wrong person." After Michelle said that, she briefly told the section manager everything she knew and who had mainly caused the problem. As soon as the section manager's anger shifted, Michelle turned to the seniors. "You guys, aren't you ashamed to push it onto a junior colleague? You only take credit for the good parts and need to stop covering your own backs." Her voice echoed. "You all need to reflect on this and go apologize to the client directly, got it?" When Michelle said that, the seniors weakly replied, "Yes." As I stood in front of the section manager's desk in shock, Michelle turned this way and said, "Section manager, I'll take John out for a bit. Please take care of the rest." Then she told me, "Let's go," and physically took me away from that spot. I admired Michelle's retreating figure. I quickly followed her. From behind, I could hear the section manager yelling at the seniors. "Michelle, thank you. But why did you say it wasn't me?" I leaked my true feelings, thinking that if she had left it alone, only I would have been scolded. "I have an idea why you took the blame, even if it's just a guess, but you can't keep cleaning up after your seniors." She had known I was trying to take the blame. When she pointed that out, my eyes widened. Apparently, she had noticed some time ago that I was taking care of the aftermath. However, she didn't have concrete evidence and was watching the situation for a while. I found it strange. Given your usual work ethic, I couldn't imagine you making so many mistakes. I know you understand the teamwork hierarchy, but doing such things can lower your reputation. Michelle reprimanded me. "Your kindness isn't meant to be used like that, you know, but really, you haven't changed since then." While I was looking down, reflecting, she mentioned "since then." I wondered what she meant and looked at her face, asking, "Huh? I can't forget those times." She said with a slight smile and began to explain. One spring morning, while commuting to the office by train and bus, something happened. On a crowded bus, as it reached a certain bus stop, a passenger trying to get off didn't know how to pay the fare. That person was from abroad, speaking some broken English, but mostly trying to ask something to the bus driver in his native language. The bus driver didn't understand, and the passenger seemed troubled. While everyone silently watched, someone from the middle of the bus said, "Excuse me." Moving forward while apologizing, that man explained to the passenger how to pay the fare. Thanks to that, the passenger was able to get off the bus without much delay. Then, on another morning, amidst the busy hustle and bustle, a boy in an elementary school uniform was crying loudly. Suddenly, the same man who had helped the passenger from abroad on the bus quickly approached the boy and asked, "What's wrong? Did something happen?" He knelt down to the child's level and spoke with a smile. "Let's go to that police officer over there. It's okay, they'll help us. Let's go together, okay?" While reassuring the anxious child, the man led him to the police office. Even during the busy morning rush hour, he calmly handled everything without getting flustered. She was seemingly really impressed, thinking I couldn't do that. Hearing that story, my face gradually turned red. Even as a new hire, you always showed kindness so readily. I remembered thinking how wonderful you were back then. I couldn't forget that sight. I was surprised when we ended up in the same department after your training," she said, smiling. "It was definitely you, right, John? I've noticed you helping out others a few times since then." The thought of being watched without realizing it made me feel a bit embarrassed. As we were chatting and walking, before we knew it, we'd reached the company's lobby. "We've come all the way here. Since we sneaked out, why not go grab a coffee? Treating you to a cup won't make up for everything, but allow me to buy you one. Actually, as many as you want." I realized she had probably intended to take me out all along. Even if you're not the one making a mistake, being berated can wear you down. Perhaps she saw I was upset and wanted to cheer me up. After that incident, she watched over me even more, ensuring that I was never at a disadvantage. I don't mess up all that often, but when the seniors who used to be able to hide their mistakes started slipping up, their errors became more noticeable. Around that time, I had begun working more with Michelle due to the progress of my work and departmental assignments. Consequently, the number of times Michelle called for me increased. Despite feeling the gaze of my peers and seniors, I kept my focus on the task at hand. Why is it always John? That's just not fair. We're definitely better looking. I should be the one next to Michelle. But she's 8-1. Michelle never accepts our invitations to go out for drinks. I was about to head into the break room for some coffee when I overheard these conversations from my seniors and colleagues. I hesitated, not sure if I should walk in. As I pondered what to do, scratching my head, I heard footsteps from behind. "All right, you folks, if you've got time to chat here, get back to work." She clapped her hands, signaling everyone to leave. The guys murmured, "Oh, shoot," quickly extinguishing their cigarettes and rushing back to their desks. Michelle caught my eye as I watched the entire scene. "Did I scare you a bit?" she asked, playfully sticking out her tongue with a shy grin. Both of us grabbed our coffees, and just as we were about to get back to work, she said, "Oh, John, are you free tonight? How about we grab dinner? We worked really hard yesterday, so it's kind of a thank you dinner. What do you say?" Invited by Michelle, I decided to join her for dinner. She has this habit of treating her subordinates to meals after finishing big projects. Given that I often work alongside her, we've had dinner a few times. Remembering the conversation from the seniors earlier, I thought it best to keep this dinner a secret. And on our way back from dinner, instead of heading straight to the subway, Michelle suggested, "How about we chat a bit more in the nearby park before heading home?" I thought she wanted to discuss work for the next day. We sat on a bench in the park, toasting with coffees we'd bought from a vending machine. I took a sip, waiting for her to speak. but she just stared ahead, showing no sign of starting a conversation. After a while, she turned to look at me, silently studying my face. "Is everything okay, Michelle?" When I called out like that, she let out a sigh. "It's tough, isn't it? Even with all this effort to get noticed, it goes unnoticed." Confused, I must have looked like a question mark just popped above my head. Not sure if she noticed my puzzled face, she continued. "Well, I've always been focused on work, and it's been a long time since I've felt this way. But what about you, John? I know I'm older, but you probably prefer someone younger, right?" I tried to understand the meaning of her words, intently gazing into his eyes, but as usual, she was also staring right back into mine. Our eyes locked, and I was taken aback by her sparkling eyes and slightly blushed cheeks. But then she dropped a bombshell. "John, I like you, and I mean, as more than just a workmate. Would you ever consider someone like me?" Feeling my heart race, my mind went completely blank. I could barely replay Michelle's words in my head. "What? Are you serious?" Upon finally grasping what she had said, I let out a yell and involuntarily leaned backward. "Wait, this isn't some sort of prank, right?" It would be rather rude to assume, but I couldn't help but ask. Seeing my astonished face, Michelle laughed. "I guess you really didn't see it coming." Are you for real? I mean, hold on, does this mean I was probably the most flustered I had ever been in my life? Do you believe me now?" She gently took my trembling hands with both of hers. I could feel my face turning bright red. Are you blushing? That's so cute. You look even more adorable." "Wait, cute? This isn't some sort of joke." "Why me? Tell me, you're very cute. But more importantly, I love how genuine and kind you are. Do you not like me?" "No, it's not that. I mean, I feel like I don't deserve someone like you, but my body can't lie." My hands had gripped her hands back. But then reality hit me. "Hold on a second, Michelle, think about it. People are going to see us and think it's like Beauty and the Beast. You have no idea how gorgeous you are, and me, I feel so undeserving standing next to you." When I said that, the strength of Michelle's grip weakened, and a troubled look crossed her face. "People have always told me I'm pretty, but I've always had my own insecurities. It's been tough being a female manager. Some say I got to where I am because of my looks, not my skills. Despite everything, I worked hard and proved them wrong. And the kindness I've received from men, most had ulterior motives. But you, John, you're different. You're genuine, sincere, and the kindest person I've ever met. That's what attracted me." Saying this, she squeezed my hand once more. "Do you not feel embarrassed having me by your side?" I conveyed my deepest insecurity. "Why would I be? If you were my boyfriend, I'd brag about you to everyone." She smiled at me warmly. "Look, I can't change my face, but I'll do my best to be a man worthy of you, Michelle. Who could have seen this coming?" For someone like me who had given up on even dating, let alone getting married, a new chapter had begun. For a while, I kept pinching my cheek every morning, wondering if this was a dream or reality. Of course, in the beginning, I often doubted, why me? She always called me cute, and I could feel her love from her smiles and gestures. Knowing she chose me gave me a bit of confidence, but it was never enough. To gain more self-assurance, I started hitting the gym. My once skinny frame began to bulk up, and my muscles started showing. The more built I became, the more I looked like my dad. I'd become confident and at ease with myself. My newfound confidence was noticeable to others. "You've been glowing with confidence lately," a female coworker once told me. We didn't hide our relationship, but we also didn't make it public to keep our professional lives separate. No one would ever guess that someone like me was dating the the company's top beauty. I'd say it's almost impossible to notice. Sometimes I'd see some good-looking colleagues approaching Michelle, and I'd subtly step in. She'd tease me about my jealousy, But hey, I'm her boyfriend. A little jealousy is natural, right? Then, after about a year of keeping our relationship under wraps, during a morning briefing, our section manager called Michelle and me to stand in front of everyone. I still remember that moment. Everyone's faces, thinking we were about to receive an award or something. "At your leisure," said the section manager, and with that signal, we announced our engagement. Then there was a silence for about 5 seconds, followed by a chorus of startled shouts, sounding almost like screams, resonating with what? Michelle, trying to lighten the mood, said, "For professional reasons, I'll keep my last name as Taylor. Thanks for understanding." But as they saw the ring shining on her left finger, a few male colleagues looked as if they were about to faint. In just one day, it felt like I heard a lifetime's worth of "no way, why him?" About a year and a half after the engagement announcement, my wife went on maternity leave. By that time, I had gained confidence, and my work performance improved significantly. Of course, I no longer had to clean up after my colleagues. The label of being incompetent was shed with my accomplishments, and the misunderstandings with my bosses were cleared up. After her maternity leave, I was promoted as manager. Work's going great. And home life, absolutely wonderful. The unexpected joys that came into my life have warmed my entire being. By the way, not too long ago, I finally mustered the courage to ask my mom, "Why did you choose Dad?" Turns out, the reason my mom fell for my dad and the reason my wife fell for me was the same. My dad was always kind to everyone and would subtly help those in need, which my mom noticed countless times. And back then, even though my mom was quite the catch, it seemed the only man who approached her without ulterior motives was my dad. Maybe that's why my wife and mom get along so well. Now, instead of a mother-daughter relationship, they seem more like best friends. While some families might struggle with in-law issues, it looks like we're in the clear. They often tell each other, "We're so lucky to have such kind husbands," and brag about their husbands. Hearing that makes my dad and I a bit embarrassed, but I guess it's also a kind of happiness. And then, we were blessed with a beautiful baby. She looks like my wife, with sharp and clear features. I might be a bit biased, but I'm genuinely concerned about her future. I'll cherish and raise her with all my love, alongside my wife. How did you like today's story? Your subscriptions and hitting the like button would be a huge motivation for my content creation. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. See you in the next video.